Hey everybody, Christmas has come early this year because the president of Guyana lit this fool up like a Christmas tree. Welcome to the talk. President of Guyana, Dr. Muhammad Irfan Ali, president of Guyana. Okay, my parents are Guyanese, so this is near and dear to my heart. So the president of Guyana is having an interview with a BBC news reporter, and it's come to a section where this reporter wants to talk to the president about these new oil contracts. Guyana now discovering that it's got oil reserves and they're planning to extract the oil. And this BBC reporter is talking this crazy talk about, the carbon it's going to bring up billions of tons of carbon, right? And President of Guyana, he wasn't trying to hear none of that bullshit. All right. I'm gonna let you watch the clip. All right.
Let's take a big picture look at what's going on here. Over the next decade, 2 decades, it is expected that there will be $150 billion worth of oil and gas extracted off your coast. It's an extraordinary figure, but think of it in practical terms. That means, according to many experts, more than 2 billion tons of carbon emissions will come from your seabed, from those reserves, and be released into the atmosphere. I don't know if you as a head of state went to the COP in Dubai.
Let me stop you right there.
Oh man, this is when he knew he done effed up. He said, "Let me stop you right there." Freaking everything stopped. Music stopped, bro. He's about to flip the script on him.
From those reserves and be released into the atmosphere. I don't know if you as a head of state went to the COP in Dubai.
Let me stop you right there. Do you know that Guyana has a forest forever that is the size of England and Scotland combined? A forest that stores 19.5 gigatons of carbon, a forest that we have kept alive, Does
that give you the right? Does that give you the right to release all of this carbon?
Does that give you the right to lecture us on climate change? I am going to lecture you on climate change because we have kept this forest alive that stores 19.5 gigatons of carbon that you enjoy, that the world enjoy, that you don't pay us for, that you don't value, that you don't see a value in, that the people of Guyana has kept alive. Guess what? We have the lowest deforestation rate in the world. And guess what? Even with our greatest exploration of the oil and gas resource we have now, we will still be net zero. Guyana will still be net zero. With all our exploration,
couple of points.
Still be net zero.
Powerful words, Mr. President.
I am not completed as yet. I am not finished as yet. I am just not finished as yet. Because this is the hypocrisy that exists in the world. The world in the last 50 years has lost 65% of all its biodiversity. We have kept our biodiversity. Are you valuing it? Are you ready to pay for it? When is the developed world going to pay for it? Or are you in the pockets? Are you in the pockets of those who have damaged the environment? Are you in the pockets? Are you and your system in the pockets of those who destroyed the environment through the Industrial Revolution and now lecturing us? Are you in their pockets? Are you paid by them? Are you paid to keep their message?
Oh my goodness. I love it. He checked him so quick and easy and so succinctly. He couldn't even catch himself. But honestly, this guy's talking about, in practical terms, it's gonna raise up a bunch of carbon. And so what? And the president of Guyana actually raises excellent points, okay? Excellent points. First off, it doesn't even matter because of their forest. Forest, he says, is larger than England and Scotland combined, and it stores 19.5 gigatons of carbon. So it doesn't even matter that their production, their oil escapades will even produce carbon because they'll still be net zero. They're still removing more carbon than they're bringing up. Okay, so it doesn't even matter. But this reporter is like try to stop him. There's nothing to argue here. There is nothing to argue here. Climate change is a scam. It is it's one of the worst. It is an absolute scam. It's an absolute scam. Britain and the West, the NATO countries, the G7 countries are trying to convince the whole world about how climate change is this big thing and we all need to pitch in. They're saying all these things after they've already exploited and extracted all the resources and the money. After they've already gotten all the money, we got all the money. Okay. Inflation's coming in. Okay, nobody can afford anything. Okay. Now we gotta worry about the environment. It doesn't matter that they've been polluting the environment for decades or centuries, even since the start of the Industrial Revolution. Over a century, they've been polluting with plastics and oil and carbon emissions. All of this, right? Now all of a sudden, after they've extracted all the resources and gotten all the money and inflation is running rampant around the world, now all of a sudden, nobody else can do it. We gotta worry about climate change, right? It's BS. You can't do this after the fact. You've done it. It is hypocrisy. They're already at the finish line, and there are people who are now starting basically their own industrial revolution, and you're saying, oh, no, you guys can't do that, without telling them or showing them that there is a better way or helping them. It's funny how Western governments, the G7, the NATO countries, they can conjure up billions out of nowhere to pay for vaccines that people won't get. In Canada, we had 3 times as many vaccines available for the population. Okay, way more than anybody has ever used. All those vaccines went to waste. Billions of dollars to pay for vaccines. Then you have billions. They can just conjure. I swear the United States, every other month, every other week, is sending billions of dollars to Ukraine. But for some reason, these countries can't come together and scrape even a couple million to help developing countries like Guyana invest and show them a way, because they're the ones pushing this climate change problem. Like they're the ones making it into a problem. And they're saying, oh no, everybody's got to stop. But they're not trying to show anybody or help anybody. Try to invest in countries like Guyana and developing countries. They're not trying to invest and show them an alternative. They're not trying to invest and, establish renewable energy in those countries. They're just saying, no, that's wrong. Don't do it. Don't do what we did to get rich and make money. You don't do that. That's wrong. We're changed, and they haven't even changed. The United States, Canada hasn't even changed. You know what they've done? Canada has added a carbon tax. A freaking carbon tax. First off, let's just talk about what that means and what that is. Every living thing, every life form on the planet is made of freaking carbon. You cannot tax. To tax carbon is to tax life itself. It is to tax life itself, and that's what's happening. The inflation on top of it, they want to add a carbon tax. With what? What are you replacing it with? See, the Western governments think like Thanos. They are fools. They are trying to halve the population and the consumption instead of, right? Like Thanos wanted to snap half the universe away. Right? When he could instead snap his fingers and double all the resources. You see, and that's the problem with Western governments. They're trying to halve the consumption instead of trying to increase production. They are fools. They are misguided fools, and they are destroying the world. Trying to tax life itself. And how does that tax even help? Doesn't help. It's not going to stop people from releasing carbon. You haven't presented them with an alternative. You need to present an alternative. You need to create renewable energy sources. And the fact that renewable energy sources are not abundant by now is in itself an incredible testament to the foolishness and misguidedness of all the world governments. Because why? The fact that there's still world hunger. Why? Why? World hunger, it doesn't take a genius, okay? One apple seed produces an apple tree. An apple tree produces many apples throughout its lifetime. God has left us with nothing but abundance upon the earth. It is exponential growth. It's like there's actually a new energy source. They've created fusion reaction, nuclear fusion, right, which consumes less energy than it outputs. So it's an infinite energy source. But this is what I'm talking about. That needs to be made abundant. So all of this doesn't even matter, because now that I think about it, they have discovered a way to generate more energy like that using nuclear fusion. That's what needs to be developed right now. It doesn't even matter. Don't even worry about carbon and carbon being released. We are on a new cutting edge frontier of energy. Okay, but it's blatant hypocrisy. Okay, while these government officials and these rich elites travel around the world on their jets producing all the carbon, right? What are they talking about? You cannot do this. Furthermore, these Western countries, the NATO countries, the G7 countries, don't produce more carbon and more pollution than China. But you see how nobody's talking heavy to China. Nobody wants to talk heavy to China. You're gonna talk heavy to Guyana, which has a population less than the city of Toronto. There's more people living in Toronto than there are people living in Guyana. You're gonna talk heavy to them, right? But China, the real producer of all the pollution and carbon, you're silent. Where's your voice on them? Everyone else, compared to China, produces a fraction of the carbon. But carbon isn't even a problem, because the truth is, like the president of Guyana said in this video, his country has one of the lowest deforestations in the world. One of the lowest deforestation rates in the world, okay? So how do we get rid of carbon? Let's focus on removing carbon. Okay, you're trying to tax. The tax doesn't help. It just is stealing. It's a scam. It's a scam. Carbon is such a problem. Then find a way to remove carbon. Don't tell people, oh, you need to stop what you're doing without presenting an alternative for them to do what they're doing. Start planting forests. Make sure that your deforestation rate is freaking non-existent. Plant forests. Do something that removes carbon from the air if it's such a problem. Instead, you're trying to tax people to death. I wish more people would realize what is going on. There needs to be more INTJs in the world. Climate change is a scam. It is a gigantic scam, okay? That's all. That's all it is. They talk a big game, but they're not doing anything about it because they're still jetting around and scamming people out of taxes. And then Trudeau in Canada is trying to say, oh, it's a carbon rebate. You'll get more money. You guys are thinking short term. You'll get money from the carbon rebate tax. You cannot generate wealth by taking it from people. That's like trying to lose weight by eating. You cannot. How are you supposed to give people money by taking money away from them? That doesn't even make sense. Unless you're saying, oh, we're going to take money from the rich people, well, then don't tax everybody then. Don't tax the low income and middle income, the middle class and the lower class. Don't tax them at all. Just tax the rich. Don't tax everybody. If you're trying to take money from the rich, just tax them. But they're not going to do that because it's a scam. Because it is a scam. It's a scam. It is all BS. And Guyana has every right. It doesn't even matter because Guyana is net zero. But you see how they're trying to lecture him. You see how they are hypocrites and scam artists. Forget climate change. You need to start producing forests. You need to start producing renewable energy sources. And then we can phase out fossil fuels and oil and all this. Don't start being a hypocrite and telling people and trying to take some moral stance like you're all high and mighty after you were doing it for decades and for over a century. You cannot do this. You can't do this. Oh, Jesus Christ, man. Renewable energy sources and forests, okay? Jackasses.